What's going on YouTube, man? It's your boy Architect Nice in the building. We are back again with another one. Whew. More Rory and Mal responded on Venmo. Now, for those of y'all who have internet, for those of y'all that have money, their response is for $2 only on Venmo.com. It's called "I'll name this response later." If y'all don't want to hear me speak about it, or if y'all want to watch the response yourself, it's an hour and 8 minutes long. Y'all can go pay $2 and y'all can watch it yourselves, all right? But there are a few things that I do want to point out that I heard Mal and Rory say about what Joe was speaking of. So I'm gonna get right to it. First, man. My reaction to this is Joe don't look good. Now, I do want to apologize to Mal and Rory because, I mean, look, I did side with Joe in terms of Mal and Rory getting fired from the podcast because because from my understanding, they were employees, they were working under Joe. And this is the part that, these are the kind of people that I don't like, is when people speak half the truth. And it sounded like in Rory and Mal's case, it sounded like Joe only said half the truth. Yeah, Joe was paying them, Mal and Rory getting paid. I don't recall them being partnership or having a contract between each other in terms of a partnership. So they don't get paid by salary. They get paid by percentage. So Mar said a great example about LeBron. And when he said LeBron James being the best player in the NBA, he gets paid by salary. Now, if he was getting paid by percentage from the Lakers, then yeah, he's obligated to see the accountant. He's obligated to see the books on what the percentage is. Now, in Rory and Mal's case, if they're getting paid by percentage, Joe, why are you not letting them see the percentage of what they're getting paid? Because, look, as a partner, like, you guys were not only partners, not only do you guys have contracts amongst each other, but y'all were friends. I mean, I think it's a word friends now, especially on Mal's case, because Mal seemed pretty adamant in what he was saying. He brought up some points to where, he said that, Joe said that Mal was living with him, and Mal responded to, he acting like that he got me from the street and I ain't have any money, and you act like you just took care of me, when Mal was saying pretty much like Mal always had money. And if you look at the clothes that he wears, it seemed like he's speaking the truth about it, honestly. I mean, it seems like, I've never seen him in anything twice. I've said it before. So when Mal tell you that that he always been a hustler, maybe doing the wrong thing allegedly, but he said that he always had money. So I couldn't believe him when he say that. But another point where I think their main concern about this entire thing was about an accountant. Having an accountant, letting them see the books, and for them to be partners and for them to not be allowed to see what was in the books, because Joe said on the podcast, he said, no, I'm not letting y'all see my books, not letting you see my books, and with Rory and Mal, they were saying, they were a partnership, like they had a contract as partners, so they were obligated to see what was in the books, how much they were getting paid. And not once did they even said on there that he's a liar or he's a thief. But, and wow, hearing Mal said saying that, his energy changed once he saw how Joe was acting towards them in terms of, this whole money thing, the whole accounting thing. Now I get it. I honestly get why, because there were a lot of episodes where Maul was nonchalant, not really talking, not really active, speaking to Rory, Maul, and Parks whenever there would be 5-10 minute spurts of Maul not speaking. And where he just said that is his, that's who he is. Now I totally get it. It was everything behind the scenes that was happening to where Maul was kind of affected by it because, shoot, Maul is from the hood. And if he sees something that's not right, he's going to act accordingly. Now, he would still be cordial on the show in terms of, speak whenever he asks a question. Or, he'll speak on something that he really knows. But hearing Maul, that make me seeing his performance, it makes total sense. So, so now I can come on here and say, I can't blame Maul for being who he was on the show after hearing what he had to say. Because let's be honest, if you known that you were getting shitted on in business, I'm pretty sure anybody would act differently. So I can't blame Maul for that. And now in terms of Rory sense, the thing with Rory and Maul, they were calm throughout the entire time up until when Maul, spoke about he felt like his character was getting criticized off of what Joe was saying. And look, whenever your character gets criticized and you're not that way, you have to respond that way. So I get why Maul responded the way he did. But in terms of Rory, look, Rory seemed very level-headed when he was speaking about, when he would get emails about different contracts that'll come through. And, look, I know, me watching Joe for years, I know how he gets on live TV. So when Rory would speak about him getting emails and him presenting it to Joe, I can see, and then him saying that Joe would go crazy and be argumentative. I can see that. I could believe him when he say that. Because it's damn, he's the one getting emails and he's the one getting calls and from your manager, and all he's doing, and instead of going behind your back and doing and taking, checks or signing contracts behind your back, he's presenting it in front of you and asking you what you think. And you go off on him. And I can see that happening. So, and then the thing that got me was when Maul spoke about the respect. I finally understood what he meant. I got my own interpretation in terms of how, of what was being presented to me. But after hearing what Maul was saying about respect, I totally get it. And I understand why he's mad about Ice and Ish. Because at first, that was the only thing that I didn't agree with Maul was that about the show going on. I was on the mindset that the show must go on. But Maul was saying how the three of them spoke about going to the corners and, just taking a week break. And it turned into a month. And in that time frame, of course, you had people on your payroll that you had to think about. But then Maul comes out and said, everybody is saying how they felt overworked and they were underpaid. But I'm still of the mindset, that they were only working 30 hours a week, or 30 hours a month, just to speak. But I'm not thinking about everybody else that's behind the scenes, that's probably working overtime. That's probably they're working longer than what the actual show how long that the podcast actually plays. Like they're working more than them being on the podcast. So I can completely understand that. And not for nothing, like I'm honestly gonna miss those three. After hearing Maul speak about his energy wasn't there, like his energy left a long time ago, and that reflected his performance on the podcast. I totally get it. I totally 100% get it. And honestly, I can't be mad anymore especially about his performance. So yeah, and now I thought that they were just gonna respond on Twitter or they were gonna respond on IG Live, and that was gonna be the end of it. I thought that them doing this, in front of the camera together, I thought that this was a great way to respond. And now I know that they're gonna cut out 1 minute, 2 minute clips on YouTube and put up different videos about what they were saying and their responses or whatever. But the whole response is an hour long. But yeah, man, Joe don't look good here, honestly. And a lot of and something that stuck out to me, what Mar said was about the pull up that Joe and Crook did, but he never put it out. And I remember him putting out clips of that, but he never posted the full interview. So Maul brought up the fact that Joe said that he don't honor contracts. And I didn't think that it was gonna be amongst his friends too. Like, because I can imagine that Joe was seeing more money in podcasting than he ever did when he was rapping. And I think that kind of had a reflection on how he treated Rory and Maul. And then then he brought up suing, he brought up auditing. And Maul and Rory was saying they never brought that up. They said that Joe brought it up, which I think is interesting too. Like, it's like, people will only speak about half of what happened. Yeah, some of the things that you're saying may be true, but it's a lot of things that you'll leave out that is really important. Matter of fact, more important than the things that you were saying. And that's how I felt about the Maul and Rory response. Like, I think like we all needed to hear what Maul and Rory had to say. Like, and mind you, they were cool, calm, and collective throughout this entire thing. Like, they didn't go off like how Joe be going off, because he can be a bit pulverizing, But at the same time, like, look, if Maul and Rory ever did a podcast together, I'll watch it, honestly, because I did like Maul and Rory on the podcast, and I watched this with a level head. Like, even though I initially agreed with, or I sided with Joe firing Maul and Rory, it was firing Maul. I was at the thinking of based off of his performance and his performance only. That's all I was really alluding to. Didn't, Maul put it in great perspective that it was based off of behind the scenes on how Joe was acting toward them. And now that I got that, I have to apologize to Rory and Maul. I have to. Maul especially, because I really doubted him a lot of episodes. Me not really, but Maul did a good job of hiding it. He didn't say anything bad about Joe. Didn't say anything bad about him. So I really commend Maul for doing what he did. And I commend Rory for both of them just speaking out about what their issues with Joe is. And they still didn't criticize his character. they were only criticizing how he was acting toward them, and how they saw a change in him, and how they stopped seeing who he was at first. And another point that Rory brought up was the fact that, Joe brought up the point that Rory was there since Rory was there since episode 9, and he was an afterthought. He didn't think about him being on the podcast. Rory came out and said, "Yo, you invited me after episode 5, and he actually created the SoundCloud account for their podcast." So Joe left out a whole lot. He left out a lot, and I honestly believe that Joe has to respond to this, honestly. Because I think what Mal and Rory said, look, if this is true, what Mal and Rory was saying, man, it's going to be real hard for people to want to do business with Joe. Especially since, and then what the crazy thing about a lot of the things that Mal and Rory said, and especially toward the end, to where Joe was saying how they were gonna put them on salary after their contract was finished, and they said no, they weren't doing that. So then and then him saying that they were gonna they could bring Ice and Ish on, so that so that both of them would get paid half of what one of them was getting paid. And I said, wow. Talk about the business being shady. Business, wow. Man. Look, if they're not friends anymore, I get it. Because that's shady business, yo. For real. That's really shady. For people that you known for years, for you to want to do them like that. Now, I'm only going by what I'm hearing. I can't chastise Joe because I don't know him. I don't know neither of them personally, but from what Mal and Rory was saying, yeah, Joe got to respond to this. He has to. Because it looks away on his part, because he was the person doing shady business. And he was the person acting as if he was the boss of them two, when in actuality, they were partners. And Joe actually agreed for them to be partners. Now, in terms of ownership, I won't speak on that because I still don't really agree with that wholeheartedly. But in terms of partnership, you didn't want them to let them see the books. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy, Joe, but who am I to know? I'm just a guy who listens. But if you have a response, Joe, I'm going to listen to that too. But hope y'all enjoyed the video, man. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I'm out.